A mother refuted Meghan's lies about pregnancy. Her children are fake. According to what Harry reported about Archie's birth, perhaps Meghan was allowed to sit in with the surrogate. The birth mother apparently was given an epidural, which certainly does not constitute natural childbirth. How could she give advice on childbirth if she never experienced it? And a mother has spoken out to admit that maybe she has not read Spare, but at the same time, she believes she has a right to criticize Meghan for all her lies. She said, "I have had 4 children, albeit some years ago, but I have never forgotten the details of each birth. I need to add that when I had my children, the epidural was only an option for those having C-sections, not as a means of painkiller for a normal birth." Having a fairly heavy dose of painkiller obviously helps many women to give birth without being anxious of the pain involved. In my opinion, it is not natural to have this kind of pain relief and the possible side effects involved. The pain of giving birth is a process that prepares the mother for that moment of birth and the almost instant relief from the pain that she had felt. This mother goes on to say, "I had very little intervention with each birth, and each were completely different experiences. Of course, by the time I had my 4th, I was considered to be an experienced mother, and will admit that the birth was the closest to completely natural as is possible when giving birth in a hospital. I knew what to expect with regards to the stages and build up to the final moment and the medical terms involved. When I had my children, it was considered to be an American thing having an epidural to negate the pain process. I remember Victoria Beckham was reported as not being able to cope with pain, and the epidural was the answer for her. Designer births. Anyway, to get back on track, one does have to experience pain in order to understand it. I doubt that if I tried to explain the pain and discomfort of giving birth to a woman who has not experienced the process, she would fully understand it. At least, if one has given birth as naturally as possible with little to no interference, mothers have a collective understanding about the process and pain involved. If one has never given birth, then that person can only use their imagination, not firsthand experience. The many times that giving birth is depicted in films is usually completely over the top and possibly off-putting for many women, perhaps giving rise to more elective epidurals during birth. I agree with this mother. There are so many problems with what Harry tried to claim happened when Meghan gave birth. It doesn't make a bit of sense. I mean, I can't even forget the passage of the laughing gas that supposedly Harry was inhaling when the mother was delivering the child. Who would have allowed that to happen? What I thought was even more impossible, though, was that Harry said after 2 hours from the birth, they were already in the car headed home. I don't believe for a second that's something that could possibly happen, especially after an epidural. You cannot walk away in such a short time. It doesn't make any sense. Also, is it not fraud to list her name on that birth certificate if she wasn't the one who really gave birth to him? Using the title means that she can hide behind that fraud as her real name is not being used, so I guess that way she cannot be charged with a criminal offense. Her Royal Highness Duchess of Sussex is not a legal name. Birth certificates have the name of the birth mother listed on them, not some made-up title. This is going to be Meghan's way of weaseling her way out of any litigation when the truth finally comes out. Meghan certainly is a product of the world she was raised in and the values of that world. Now, I have read things about this truce. What does that even mean? The royal family haven't done anything bad to Harry and Meghan. Now, clearly, Harry, by his own words and actions, has many problems, and Meghan is just an opportunist who doesn't care about anything except getting her way. And everything that doesn't go in her favor has to be somebody else's fault. I'm sorry that the royal family and Catherine and William especially have to suffer this nonsense. The people who suffered the most, though, and in silence, were Harry's grandparents. Neither the Queen nor Prince Philip deserved any of the nonsense they put them through, all the lies, all the rumors Harry and Meghan were telling about the royal family. I suspect that it really shortened the remaining days of the late Queen. Even if everything else could be forgiven, even what Harry said about his father, his stepmother, William, and Catherine, I do not believe the way they treated his own grandparents could ever be forgiven. Nobody has the right to treat another person like that. It doesn't matter how they were raised or by whom. What they said is not going to be easily forgotten. Perhaps it will be forgiven eventually, but never, ever forgotten. And you know what? This whole Harry and Meghan fiasco is a real combination of many factors. And for the most part, we know what they are. See, people who live in the American South or in the flyover states in the middle are always just baffled at the stuff coming out of California and New York and Chicago and DC and San Francisco, places like that. I mean, college towns, universities are being run by Marxist radical professors, and that is what we're seeing here. Meghan Markle grew up hanging out with celebrities because of who her father was, but she was always on the outside looking in. Every break that Meghan managed to get just fueled her fantasy of fame and fortune, and anybody who helped her along the way was thrown away for her next step, including the person who set her up with Harry. And maybe this could have worked out if she really loved Harry. She became everything that he was searching for, right down to wearing the same perfume that his late mother wore, but she couldn't keep up the facade. See, Meghan never would have been a servant of the people of the UK. From the very beginning, she wanted to head back to Hollywood, but as a royal. And she's gonna need so many cosmetic surgeries as she gets older. Her connection to the royal family is through Harry. And dumb as he is, the royal family still loved him so much. These stories of blind dates and connecting over African animals and roasting chicken, Meghan rescuing 2 dogs, which of course she later threw away too, her family's cruelty, not knowing Harry and what he did for a living, they were just that, a bunch of made-up stories. I was really hoping that Harry had finally found the happiness that William had, but Meghan lost all my respect when they got married. The spectacle was ridiculous, it was so over the top, and it was all orchestrated by Meghan. And the fact that nobody from her family except her mother was invited to the wedding told me a whole lot about who she is. She didn't invite her colleagues, she didn't invite family members on both sides of the family, and she insisted on walking down the aisle by herself until the future king met her halfway. Meghan had to be the star. She wanted the world to finally realize how amazing she really was, to see her in all her glory, and then all the celebrities that accepted that invitation I also lost a lot of respect for. I believe they came out of respect for the Queen, but still, they should have seen through that little act. Meghan is such an embarrassment to all American women out there. She betrayed the royal family in such a horrible way after they paid millions of dollars for her wedding. She was adorned in white. I mean, who thought that was okay? She used her middle name against the Queen's request during the ceremony, too. And why? Well, I think she wanted to rub everybody's faces in what she became, everybody who doubted her when she was growing up. She wanted them to finally see her and admire her, everything that she achieved, and perhaps be jealous. Now, actually, this was her 3rd marriage. And then let's remember that horrible Oprah Winfrey interview. Well, that was disgusting. All of a sudden, Meghan is a proud black woman after a lifetime of being white. Meghan played the racist card. She slandered the royal family in the process. Who would do a thing like that? And then there was that stupid TV special they made and aired before the wedding. So Meghan asked Harry what he did for a living, and he said being a prince of England. Everywhere Meghan goes, everything she does requires video evidence. And I have a feeling that she's the one who calls up the paparazzi to let them know where she's going to be. And then she turns around and acts like she's being harassed, just like Harry's mother was. The only way Harry and Meghan could possibly make this right would be by engaging in a much less pretentious lifestyle, laying low for a very long time, and actually starting to help people in Africa. Maybe they could also start to add God to their lives and go to church. That would be a wonderful benefit to them. In that Oprah Winfrey interview, Harry claimed that his father cut him off financially, but he said, "I still have what my mother left me." Well, that's not going to go very far because they're buying all these mansions in expensive neighborhoods and buying a bunch of clothes for Meghan. Let's talk about what kind of freedom Meghan Markle wanted. She wanted the freedom to wear whatever makeup and nail polish she wanted to have as many cosmetic procedures as she wanted. She wanted to live the Hollywood lifestyle but join the royal family for special events. She thought that she was going to be experiencing worldwide fame. Well, everything has blown up in her face and Harry is miserable. Outside of the UK, he is useless. Don't let that rictus grin fool you. Meghan is worried now, and she's never going to come back to the UK because she knows everybody there despises her. It is a tragic story. It didn't have to happen like this. And I know Harry misses home. He misses all the perks that members of his family enjoy at the expense of tax-paying citizens.